allegiance
to the flag
to the United States of America,
to the republic,
which it
which
stands,
stands
one
one
nation,
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 under God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty
liberty, and
for all.
justice
For all. Thanks, Tammy.
Okay, first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Are there any amendments to those minutes? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Stone, seconded by Commissioner Lebo. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions? Okay. Item number 3 is the completion of the probationary period of Officer Daniel Chase and Jonathan Mira. Chief, do you want to say anything to that?
I'm going to pass it over to Captain Broderick, who's going to kind of give a little brief history on them and the recommendations that came from their supervisors.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. As you know, I'll give you a brief history of both officers. Dan Chase worked for Fairfield PD from 2010 to 2013. Then he spent 4.5 years in the Army. Returned to us on April 5th of 2019, successfully completed the police academy, has been a productive member of the police department since. In August, he was awarded the K-9 Jake transfer, so he's also one of our most recent K-9 handlers, and his supervisors gave him raving reviews with no issues at all and recommended him to pass his probationary period. John Mara came to us from Greenwich PD with 4 years. He was a lateral transfer. He came to us on April 15, 2019. His probation expired on 10/15/20. He was also recommended by his supervisors with rave reviews and no concerns at all, as noteworthy as passing probation. So we recommend both Officer Chase and Mira pass the probationary period.
Okay, I'll make the motion that we accept that recommendation, that they have completed their probationary period and are now regular officers. Is there a second?
Second.
Peter, second.
Okay, well, we'll go with Commissioner Pine on the second there. He got in first. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, congratulations to those officers. Item number 4, the traffic surveys. And Commissioner Pine, if you're ready, will you read the surveys?
Sure. Survey number 1. Location, exit 19, Southport Commercial Lot, nature request. Diaz Landscaping is using his residence at 195 Woodrow Avenue as a commercial lot, parking his trucks and vehicles on the street. Neighbors complain, so now he has parked vehicles and is using the exit 19 parking area across from the Coromandel restaurant as his own. By whom? William Hurley, town engineer, recommendation: install no parking 10 to 6 p.m. signs on parking lot adjacent to I-95 on Peace Avenue.
Okay, is there any discussion from the board? Hearing none from the board, is there any public discussion? Hearing none, is there any motion to accept the recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Caffarelli. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, carries unanimously. Commissioner Pine, survey number 2.
Survey number 2. Location, Castle Avenue /between Black Rock Turnpike. Nature of request: multifamily residential dwelling at 528 Black Rock Turnpike. Location of the proposed driveways requires the removal of on-street parking spaces along Castle Avenue. Applicant proposed to relocate on-street spaces lost in the actual property's parking area, which has been an option utilized before, and it was accepted by the Fairfield Planning and Zoning Commission. By whom? Attorney Christopher Russo. Recommendations: install no parking signs on Castle Avenue to 528 Black Rock Turnpike on Castle Avenue.
Okay, and I think what we'll do is, did it backwards on the last one. Is Attorney Christopher Russo on the call? He apparently is not. Is there any public comment on this item? Okay, hearing none, is there any comments from the board on the item, on the commission?
Yeah, Jamie, Peter Ambrose, I need to recuse myself from this item.
What was that, Peter? You need to recuse yourself?
I need to recuse myself from this item.
Okay. All right, is there a,
Chairman? Yes, so the parking spaces that will be removed is in front of the building currently being built. Is that correct, on that side?
I believe so. I mean, I drove by, but Jack, you were there. Do you,
Yeah, there are 3 spaces in front of the building,
Mm-hmm.
which we're going to remove for line of sight reasons coming in and out of the garage. But the owner of the property has committed to put 3 spaces in his area to make up for that differential in loss of spots. So we're just basically saying from the start of the building to the corner, no parking.
is there any further discussion?
I have one question. So is he going to designate or have signage saying that these 3 spots are public parking in on his property, or how are people going to know that they can park there?
We haven't talked with him, Ron, so I don't know. I can just go by the information that I have on the study plus what we heard while we actually did the study. So I don't know what the plan is beyond that.
Okay, but he's committed to 3 spots that the public can park. So.
He committed to 3 spots.
Okay, I'm satisfied then.
All right, is there any other comment from the commission?
No.
Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the recommendation?
No.
Commissioner
I'll make a
Pine?
motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Stone. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions? Okay, the recommendation is approved. Commissioner Pine, survey number 3.
Survey number 3, location, Old Post Road, St. Paul's Church, and entrance to Town Hall. Nature of request, improve safety measures to make the area safer for pedestrians and drivers. Install slow school zone pavement markers in both directions on the Old Post Road prior to both crosswalks at this location in accordance with the MUTCD guidelines. Install 4 rapid flashing crosswalk beacons on the Old Post Road, both directions and proximal to the 2 crosswalks located at St. Paul's Church and the town complex. Both rapid flashing crosswalk beacons would be contingent on receiving a grant from the State of Connecticut DOT. By whom? Drew Georgiadis. Recommendations to be discussed further. Sorry about your name.
Sorry, Ron. I know you know who I am.
Okay, is there any comment from the public? Yes.
Drew Georgiadis, RTM District 9. I was approached by constituents, both neighbors and people associated with First Church, Operation Hope, St. Paul's Nursery School, St. Paul's Church, the Montessori School, and regarding these 2 crosswalks that are not located with stop signs. And we had a Zoom meeting with the previous police chief and about 20 people. And these recommendations were put forward by Chief Liddy in accordance with recommendations we've received from some of the Christopher Tercey. We have collected signatures from all of the surrounding neighbors on the Old Post Road and 3 residents on Beach Road, as was recommended. We've also, so those are the neighbors. They have no problem with the flashing light. They were given a sample of what the light would look like and how the light would work. We also have a second petition, I believe that you have, also was provided to you, which was more of users. people who use the crosswalk. And again, there are two specific times that the crosswalk is heavily used. Pickup, well, probably more than two, but definitely pickup and drop off for the two nursery schools at that location, 9 to 5 for people around the town complex, and then on Sundays for the parishioners. Additionally, Chief Liddy contacted Waze, the navigation system, and they are going to designate that section of the Old Post Road, which has proven dangerous. One person was recently hit, and mark it slow school zone on Waze. So, again, we seem to have 100% support from the neighbors, definitely 100% support from the businesses around there. So I'd ask you very much, especially considering this will have zero cost to the town, that you support this the solution to this dangerous traffic situation. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Yes.
Hi, I'm Margie Reddy, and I'm the director at St. Paul's Nursery School. And we've tried various things to try and keep it safe out there. Our crossing guard retired, so we are currently without a crossing guard. It's treacherous. We have mature women, staff members, pulling the crosswalk signs out and pulling them back, and honestly, they take their life in their hands because cars literally, you can look at them right in the face, and they literally just roll right by you. And, once in a while they stop, but there are a lot that simply don't, and it's a very dangerous situation. And I'm very hopeful that some of this will go through, especially in light of the hit that happened a couple of months ago. We don't want anything like that to happen again. We're doing everything we can to ask our parents to be safe and diligent and follow certain rules, and we just want to do everything we can to make the whole situation safe. It's not just the nursery school. It's a lot of pedestrians use those crosswalks as well.
Okay. Is there any other public comment?
I had given the telephone number out, so I don't know if anyone's dialing in, but that could be another possibility. We were only allowed 2 people for the Zoom call.
Okay. Let me see. Is there anybody else that dialed in that we don't know? Officer Greenfield?
There are several callers on. Do you want me to try to open up to see if anyone needs to make a comment?
Yeah, if you would.
Okay. On the Zoom side of this, you're going to hear some audio about question and answer and dialing things on your keypad. There won't be anything necessary for the commission to do. For those that have dialed into the public portion or the public dial-in number for this meeting, if you have a comment you wish to make, just indicate so on your keypad as prompted, and we will allow you to comment. It did not appear, Commissioner Millington, that either of them wanted to speak, since we're hearing the audio from the public bridge, and they were unmuted and left unmuted for about 10 seconds, so I'm not getting any audio coming through from them.
Okay, well, maybe we'll go to the board first, and then we'll try just one last time to see if they want to say something. Is there any comments from the board?
Yes, Jamie.
Yes.
Jamie, it's Peter Ambrose. I'm very much concerned about the traffic on the Old Post Road and the traffic that would be generated as a result of this application. And I think Drew has a very good point. I mean, those of us who have lived in Fairfield, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Those of us that have lived in Fairfield and have lived in that area are very much aware of the overabundance of traffic in that particular area. And I think that we really have to be careful in making sure that we use the utmost ways of safety to just make sure that the safest, if we're going to allow this application to go through, I think we have to laden it with safety issues in favor of the public. And I agree with Drew completely regarding her concerns.
Okay. Is there any other comments from the commission?
Jamie,
Commissioner Stone.
I was on the survey, and one of the things that we did, we went to Bridgeport on Fairfield Avenue because Sergeant Paris was aware of where a set of these lights had been installed. And my initial thought process in this was, if I lived there, I wouldn't want these blinking yellow lights all the time. But we saw the one in Black Rock, and you push a button to activate it. The lights are small, but they're bright, but they only last for about 30 seconds, and they're off. So they shouldn't be any distraction to the neighborhood. And frankly, it changed my whole opinion on the project. So I support it. And the only concern I have is, does the Historical Society have any input or disagreement with it?
Drew, do you want to address that?
Sure. Well, as you guys know, the Historical Commission is a compilation of all the different districts in town. I know from some of the discussions on that commission that, they oppose asphalt, they oppose, First Church had a big issue with using updated materials for their roof. They had to have legitimate red slate, not synthesized red slate. So I have not approached the Historical Commission as yet because some of the other instances I've worked with the Police Commission and the police in Fairfield, that traffic and safety are outside their purview, because I'm sure that stop signs and stop lights and all those things are not historically, they're not historic. So they would probably vote down a stop sign, vote down a stoplight. But for that reason, I was told to get the petition. And if you look at the signatures at every single person on the Old Post Road that could see those lights from Penfield all the way to Beach and then down Beach. So in my opinion, it's a police commission issue, it's a safety issue, it's a traffic issue, it's an immediate neighbor issue, much more than a historic issue. I will say that the house right at the T of Penfield, maybe 720 Old Post Road, she said she's a St. Paul's mom, and she'll stand at the stop sign, and the car from one direction will stop, but the car from the other direction will keep going, and so she can't even step out onto the road So it's a wide road, and then with the cars parking, it's extremely dangerous. And again, every single neighbor that can see those lights has signed in support. We live in the historic district, and it's a signed support. And as Commissioner Stone said, they're only on for a small duration. So it's really up to you if you think that traffic and safety falls under the purview of the Historic Commission.
Drew, if I may respond, I don't disagree with you for 2 seconds. My only thought process was, if we go ahead with this, I don't want to see a controversy all of a sudden arise. I'm aware of what they did with the church, for example, and some of their things are just outrageous. By just kind of a cautionary flag, I support it and will vote for it, and safety definitely comes first.
Thank you, Commissioner Stone. I totally agree. And again, if the commission was just for this district, it would be different, but I looked up the commissioners for the historic district. I think there are 2 from the Old Post area, and I spoke to Ann Cattis, who is on the, because there's an Old Post Road Association as well. I updated her on what was going on. I gave her the telephone number to call in, and she's been worried about traffic safety as well. She's around the corner near the library, so she wouldn't see the lights, so I didn't ask her to sign the petition because the police department gave me a distinct area where the flashing lights would be visible to get those signatures. I can do whatever you guys want, but again, I think because of the recent woman that was hit, I mean, it's a proven problem, and I don't know if we'll ever get everybody to agree. And most of the time, those lights are going to be going off during the daylight, so because it's a pretty wide section of the road. So I'll do whatever you guys want me to do, but that's what I've done so far.
I agree with you, Drew, and if it's not out of order at this point, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Officer Greenfield, did you have something?
Yes, I did resolve the issue where those 2 members of the public were not able to speak. I'm going to attempt to unmute them right now so that they can make their comment. The first caller, 203-521-3163. There's a name of Jean Barco there. Go ahead. State your full name and your address, please.
Hi, I'm Jean Barco. I am Assistant Director at the Nursery School, and I'm a Fairfield resident, 86 Fortuna Drive. I would just echo everybody's support of these measures to make it a more safe crossing area for the schools, the church, anybody conducting town hall business who has to park across the street or not in the lot, and conducting First Church business and Operation Hope business. I appreciate everyone's willingness to do this. It sounds like for St. Paul's and the area. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Millington. When you're ready, I'll unmute the other participant.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I believe this is Lindsay Vaughn. Please state your full name and your address.
Yep, Lindsay Vaughn, 265 Fern Street. Again, I'm just reiterating everything else. I live in the Beach neighborhood. I've been going to St. Paul's with my children for the last 4 years, and I've seen mothers with strollers getting blown past when they're halfway through the crosswalk, more than on one occasion. And there's so many kids running around, and unfortunately, bad things have already happened. And while I was getting the petition signed by parishioners and by parents of the school, there was I probably could have had a couple dozen more signatures in a moment, because everybody was jumping absolutely, this is something that we need, and we need it to be safer. So I truly appreciate all of your time for this, and that's it, just more reiterating how important it is. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any more public comment?
Chairman
Okay,
Millington, do you want me to
hearing none,
offer that up to, there's some other callers and some other people have dialed in the interim. Should I check to see if anyone else needs to make a comment or just go based off the original offer?
No, we can take the calls.
Hello, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to speak now. This is Jill Vergara. I can't hear anything, so I'm not sure if I'm supposed to speak now or if you can even hear me. So I'm not really sure what to do. But in case you can hear me now, I was on the call for the Fairfield Beach Road issue, but since I'm on for this, I do live on Old Post Road, and I wanted to say that I strongly support this petition, and I think that it's an important issue and an important safety issue that we need to address as a town. I know that there was an accident on Old Post Road in this area just a few years ago too. A nanny was hit very seriously. I've walked the road many times. There was one incident with my own daughter where she was nearly hit in a crosswalk at Beach and Old Post. So I think it's very important that we address this now. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you. And Drew, if you have her text, can you just let her know that we heard her?
I already have.
Okay.
Yeah, I said we can hear you, so start speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there any further comments from the commission?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank Drew and everyone who did a lot of homework on this. I totally have my support on it. Many times between 12 and 1, I'm running down the town hall right by the church, and it is very congested, and it's a very dangerous situation. So thank you for everything that you did on this.
No problem. I really, Chris Liddy was really helpful to us. I want to give a shout out to him. And I really do believe long-term for the police commission and the police department, it's difficult because I do believe that Waze sends them off on 19 and they come down the post road, and when that gets blocked up, they get to the old post road, and they're not residents. They don't know what the nature of that section is, and those two crosswalks that this will address have no stop sign. I don't even think they see them. They just like whoop. So thank you. I'm happy, and thank you for your support, and for just appreciating all the work that we had. A lot of people working hard. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you to everyone. Mm-hmm.
Is there any other comments from the commission? Okay, hearing none. Commissioner Stone, do you want to restate your motion?
And just very simply, I make a motion to approve the project as outlined.
Is there a second?
I'll second that. I've seen it myself. It's a good thing to do what we're doing now.
Second by Commissioner Caffarelli. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we are going to
Thank
now.
you, everyone. Goodbye.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Drew.
Okay, we are going to now head on to old business. Item number, Commissioner Pine, do you want to read the old business?
Old business. A, Allison Kovac. Is she present? Jason, is she on the line?
She is not. She was provided the information to join on the Zoom side this evening, and she's not signed in.
Surprise, surprise.
For the record, on this point, the commission has had numerous, over the last couple of years, numerous times in which she's requested to come before us to, in regards to her former husband and issues involving him, none of which have been sustained, and she always is trying to object to them. She has put a lot of time and effort by the police department with her numerous complaints. And at this point, I don't know how the rest of you feel, but I don't think that we should entertain any of her further complaints against unsustained complaints against her, I guess, ex-husband now at this point, unless there's new evidence that she can present or if the complaint was sustained. So I would like to make the motion that we are not going to entertain any complaints from her based on unsustained complaints that she's filed with the police department unless she can provide any new evidence that they did not hear or if the complaint is sustained.
Jamie?
So, Jamie, may I ask, Peter Ambrose, may I ask this question? Have the complaints made, do they have any merit to them?
They have not in the past, and the thing is, this complaint was about. Are there members of the public on this?
There are listening.
Okay. The complaints are in regards to a divorce that she had. He is an officer in the department. The latest was involving child care of their children through adoption, which has really nothing to do with the police department. At this point, it appears that she has made numerous complaints to put them on record with us and then not show up to speak to them. So it's bordering on harassment of her ex-husband to basically try to air their family laundry to not only the whole department, but the police commission and then the public when we meet.
I agree with you, Jamie. I firmly, and I see it all the time in these types of matters that it's unwarranted, but and I understand completely now. Yep.
And over the years, and I'm talking, I think it's been 2 or 3 years since we've been listening to these, not a single thing has been sustained. So, it's just really coming down to a point of trying to, embarrass / harass this officer in front of the police commission and in front of the public.
That's not.
In my
opinion.
Right.
Jamie?
You're right.
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
I just want to point out that 6-8 months ago, maybe a little longer, the commission authorized Chief Liddy to send her a letter saying that we would no longer tolerate her actions unless she had something brand new. And I mentioned this to Captain Tercey earlier. He mentioned it to Chief Calamaris, who I understand indicated he thought he had a copy of that letter. So we've already kind of taken that stand.
And I guess the invitation for this meeting was extended by Chief Liddy, but Chief Calamaris, do you want to address any of that?
Well, I just want to caution that we're not discussing personnel matters on a public comment. But second to that, I will say that she was invited to this meeting. I have confirmation of that. I just wanted to afford her the opportunity to speak on the complaint that she had with reference to the internal affairs investigation that we did do based on her complaint that was completely unsustained and unsubstantiated. With that said, with that said, going forward, if the commission decides that if she has no further facts to substantiate her complaint that were not vetted out in an internal investigation, then I will not put her before the commission.
And that is the motion that I made. Is there any further discussion?
Amy, so the procedure is if she has a complaint, she goes to the police department first, and then the police department will either order an IA or not. And if the IA is not sustained, I agree with you, I don't see any reason why it has to come before the commission. They did their investigation, and it's not sustained. She can appeal that, but.
And in the past, the investigations that the police department's done, which some of us that have been on for those, have been very, very in-depth and detailed investigations. So, if there's any additional evidence that comes to light, she should bring it to them, not to us. This is not the proper venue for that.
You're right.
So,
You're right.
I agree.
This is just getting a little bit out of hand, and it's been going on for a couple of years now.
You're right.
So, is there any other comment? Chief?
No.
But if I can just add that the police commission acts as a civilian review board. And in the interest of transparency, whenever there's an internal investigation and there's a request for an appeal on the internal investigation, I don't have an objection to bringing that before the police commission so that they may possibly take a look at it. With this particular individual, I understand that there have been several complaints that have been unsubstantiated, and I guess what I'm looking for is that the commission doesn't make it a blanket policy. That if someone were to appeal the investigation and wants the commission as a civilian review board to some extent to look at the investigation to gain their findings in it, I don't want to leave that off the table.
Oh no. This is just for this specific case because, in all others we would of course hear from the people, but the issue here is that it seems to be never ending, and I personally think that it's borderline harassing the member of the department at this point, especially because we came from big investigations down to these small investigations that have really nothing to do with the police department. Obviously they've all been found unsustained. So I think in her case, what I was trying to say is no more, trying to use us and never showing up either, except for once that I can remember, to use this commission as a way to try to intimidate, and in my opinion, because the officer has to be notified that he's of discussion at the police commission and what it's involving, brings undue stress and duress to that officer when she never even shows up for these meetings. So I've just at the point think that this is nothing than aiding and causing this officer undue duress. And if something, like I said in my motion, if it's unsustained and she has additional evidence, we can hear it. If it's evidence that has not already been heard, and if it's a sustained complaint, we can obviously hear it. All others, I think we need to, at this point, just say enough is enough. This has been going on for a couple of years, and it's not fair to the employees.
Understood. Thank you.
Is there a second to that, or any further discussion?
Yes, I'll second it. Peter Ambrose.
Okay, Peter, second. Did anybody else want to have any discussion before we move forward? Okay, and we're not going to take any public comment. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. And I don't know how we convey that to her, but maybe we wait to see if something else comes forward, and then we can, let her know, because I don't want to, poke at her either.
Hey, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, would it be possible for us to refresh that letter with a statement or two on what we just did and resend that letter, kind of to reinforce our positions?
Chief, what are your thoughts? Do you think that's just going to make this worse, or?
I would agree. I think let's just let it be. We gave her an opportunity to present for the 6th time, and she didn't show up. So going forward, I know the commission's stance, and I think I will enforce that stance going forward.
Fair enough.
Okay. All right. I think we can move on now, Commissioner Pine, if you want to.
Okay. Under old business, B, Roland Road traffic survey requested by Alyssa Israel from the July 8th, 2020 meeting.
And Chief, who's addressing this?
I will address this based on discussions that I've had with Alyssa Israel and the Department of Public Works. She requested a traffic study, a roadway analysis for Roland Road, Beach Road, Fairfield Beach Road. While the lines were not painted, we made several attempts to get those analysis done. And ultimately, the weather and other issues caused us basically not to get that done. With that said, I agreed that we would table this until the September meeting. In that time, we'll be able to get an analysis of those roadways to do a comparative study. I spoke with the engineer, Bill Hurley, about it. His suggestion that we possibly do a comparative analysis where we put down first, don't put down anything, just do an analysis on the roadway once the spring comes. After the spring comes, after the first analysis is done, possibly doing a second analysis with actually putting temporary decals down to show that there will likely be a minimal impact to the roadway, if not, in my opinion, possibly a traffic calming effect with the lines in the roadway. But that's going to be up to the commission to approve the tabling of this until the September meeting so we can do this analysis. From my understanding, she wants to do the comparative study through the T2 Center, which is the technology center up at UConn, which has engineers that work on these types of issues in coordination with Bill Hurley. So I have counterparts up there who I know they would, it would be an impartial analysis. So I'm open to it. I've offered my suggestions, but I know the commission made kind of took the stance that they didn't necessarily want to pursue no line striping.
Chief?
Yes, sir.
It's my understanding that the problem now is because the road was repaved. It had been striped for 25 years. So I guess my question is, why now is this an issue?
Basically, she thinks that it will cause increased speeds if there are center lines on the road. Bill Hurley, the engineer, his opinion or he's of the opposite opinion, I will say. But he is also willing to wait for the results of the analysis to see what the outcome is. And I kind of feel the same way, but it would be up to the commission as to whether they wanted to table this till September, let us do the analysis and the comparative study, and then if the findings are in her favor, then we reevaluate, or the commission reevaluates. And if the findings are in favor of centerline striping, then the commission makes the decision to go through with the centerline striping. I can say that I've had some emails from constituents in the beach area that suggest they want the striping done before the summertime and the spring when the beaches start getting busier. At the same time, I communicated that information to Alyssa Israel, who is the petitioner, and she said that she will reach out to her constituents so that we are not getting opposing forces with DPW, so that because DPW is basically putting this on hold for the results of this analysis.
Is there any further comment from the commission?
Just one question. Who pays for all this?
So the police department has some technology resources. It's called a Black Cat. It basically does a statistical analysis of the roadway with respect to speed, volume, things, size of vehicles. It's basically something that we mount on a telephone pole. We leave it there for a week, and then it collects data as it goes. If you could picture without the lines there, the center line striping there, we would do an analysis of the road, let's say for a week or two, then put down some temporary decals, which would have some cost impact to it, and then do a secondary analysis after the center line. The temporary decals are put in place to do a comparative study over a week or a 2-week period to kind of get a picture of what a weekday and partial weekend would look like, and then the same thing after the center line striping application is put.
I definitely agree with Jack. I mean, I walk down those roads every night. My question would be, how do you know if you're on the right side or the wrong side of the road, without a line?
Well, I think the problem on those roads is they're so narrow that if you park a car on the road, everybody's going to be going over the line.
No, not on Roland Road. There's no parking on Roland Road. They don't do. They're all in their driveways. But those lines are a good visual guideline to see that you're on the right side of the road. I mean, when I walk down there at dusk, people are driving right down the center of the street. So I'm with Jack. I think that if there were lines were there before, they should just be put back in. That's my opinion. That's it.
So this item was tabled and tabled to be heard on today's date, and we put it on as old business. So if the commission wants to make a motion to either move forward or make a decision today, that would be up to the commission.
And what is the cost of the temporary striping? Do you know?
I do not know that. In conversations with Bill Hurley, it didn't seem too alarming to him. You know, he kind of said, you know, we could put down some temporary lines after the first analysis to determine if there is a traffic calming effect from the center line application.
Peter Ambrose, I'd like to make a motion to put this matter off until we can get Bill Hurley's input on the cost and his opinion as to whether to go forward. Because if we do this on Roland Road, I can assure you they're going to want it done on Penfield Road.
And is there a date that you'd attach to that? Do you want them to come to our next meeting, or?
I think the date's certain our next meeting.
Okay, so the motion is to postpone this until date certain being our next meeting. and request that Mr. Hurley be present to address questions from the board. Is there a second to that?
I second that, yeah.
Second by Commissioner Caffarelli. Is there any further discussion on that? Okay, hearing all those.
Commissioner,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman. I think March is fine. I'm concerned about the summer, so we want to get this done before the summer if we're going to put the stripes back on. So I agree with that, the March meeting.
Well, with all this weather lately, we're not going to be striping anything anytime soon. So March should work. So if there's a motion that's been seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, that item is postponed to next month. And Chief, will you have somebody see if he can attend?
He will attend the next meeting.
Okay. All right, item number 6 is new business. Commissioner Pine.
Okay, under A, discussion of a snow emergency parking ban.
Chief?
So this is this became a discussion over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, we have DPW is planning on putting forth a petition to request a parking ban during major snow events, and we're going to try to guide them in the process and look at what other towns are doing for parking ban. I know that several towns have opposite side of the street parking. DPW was looking for a complete ban. It makes it a lot easier for them. I know there are some roads within the town and some communities that have no driveways and only on-street parking, which does create some challenges for them. But I think with our social media outreach and our many platforms that we put out information on, including Nixle and Connecticut Alerts, that we would be able to get those communications out far enough in advance so that people can make those accommodations. In the recent ban we did down at the beach area, we had 0 tows, Mike just confirming, and a couple of cars that were left there. We kind of went and encouraged people to move it. There were no issues. So, and that's kind of our stance on it. We're not looking to tow cars. We're looking to provide safe passage for DPW so that they can get the roads clear, and then people can put their cars back in there after the snow is removed.
Chief, if I have a question, I know many of the houses, they do have driveways, but there are a few streets that I know of that do not have driveways, and elderly people do live there. Could we take that into consideration? Because where are they going to park, and they can't, walk too far? So what would we do in that particular case?
Yeah, and that was some of the things that were kind of talked about or tossed around. Streets like Thorpe Street, Grasmere Avenue, these are the roads that presented challenges for DPW. Mason Street, Pierce Street, where they were kind of lined with cars on both sides. Multifamily dwellings with no off-street parking, and you could argue that they could possibly use a private parking lot just up the street to move it there while DPW cleared the streets, and then once the streets were cleared, then they were able to, they would be able to come back. One of the items that were discussed were senior citizens, and if they don't have off-street parking, then where do they go, and do they have the capacity to get back to their residence if they park the distance away? And I guess that's all open for discussion.
Okay.
Is there any more discussion from the commission? Jason, is there any public discussion?
We only have one caller on. I'll unmute them if they want to state their name and make a comment and full address. No comments.
Okay. Does anybody, do we need a motion on anything, or are we?
No, I think it was just open for discussion, and I kind of suggested to DPW that we would, I'd bring this up to the commission, and that we would later, when they presented their petition, we will kind of look at some other towns that are similar to ours to create some kind of proposal to the commission for their consideration.
Okay. All right, then hearing no further discussion, Commissioner Pine.
Under new business, letter B, donation to Fairfield Police K-9 Unit in the amount of $900 from George and Erin DeGuido, 56 Bisley Road, Fairfield.
Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept? Motion to accept by Commissioner Lebo, seconded by Commissioner Pine. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. Commissioner Pine.
Under new business, letter C, donation of $25 Stop and Shop gift card made to Animal Control by Philip Spala, 1157 Mill Plain Road, Fairfield.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Lebo, seconded by Commissioner Stone. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? All right, thank you. That's accepted. Item number 7 is the monthly report, and we will hand that over to the chief.
Unless you have any questions, it's pretty much straightforward. So I'd throw it out to the commission if you have any questions on it.
I don't have it in front of me, Chief, but there was something with comparison. Motor vehicle stops, and it seems like infractions were like completely down compared to last month. So maybe you can comment on that.
It's comparing it from January of 2020. There were 220 stops. In 2021, there were 71 stops. But I don't have the data on, I don't know whether traffic, do you remember last January if you guys were doing any special enforcement?
Pre-COVID. No, it was everyone's pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. So, well, that's true too. So last January was pre-COVID. So that has impacted our stops and infractions.
Chief, if I may add, the COVID numbers, the traffic stops have increased. However, because of the interaction of the back and forth paper passing and passing of driver's licenses, we asked our officers to limit that interaction while COVID was at its spike, and now instructed them to continue, now that COVID numbers are low and our officers are vaccinated, to continue their normal course from this point.
Was the commission able to hear the sergeant?
No, if you could just repeat it.
So he was basically saying, I'll take this off, that we have sort of instructed officers to sort of limit the passing of papers such as infractions and other stuff back and forth when the COVID numbers had started to spike again. Now that they're going back down, we should see the enforcement start to go back up. Okay, so the stops are comparable, but the infractions itself are down, right? That's the reason? If the total motor vehicle contacts was from 704, we were at 541 this year, so down slightly. I don't have an answer. We can try to find out for you and get some information back. No, just not to, continue. It's just that when I looked at the monthly report, I don't have it in front of me, unfortunately, but there was the same amount of stops, but the infractions were like.
Yeah, I know what Ron's talking about. There were like 365 stops and 66 infractions, which seems like a low percentage, but the explanation from Sergeant Paris was they're trying not to come in contact, so I think there are probably a lot of verbal warnings.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So going from voluntary compliance, right?
Further thing, commissioners, is we recognize the public has been taking a hit, and during the COVID hours, especially during their employment sections of their lives. And although we like to keep up our numbers with number of traffic stops, we didn't want to hit them so hard with the fine on top of it, especially for things such as the normal routine traffic stops. We kind of took that into consideration.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question. I'm trying to find it. The noise complaints seem to be up, and I was just kind of curious on that. I'm trying. Oh, here it is.
From the 4th of
What do
July.
people complain about on the noise complaints? And they're
Well, it's up. So compared to last January, where it went from 14 to 23.
Right.
About a nine calls in that month. Again, I mean, you look at more people home, less doing things in the evening where they might be out and about. We sort of noticed that toward the end of last year also, where the noise complaints were rising. Not necessarily an increase of parties, but we think it's just more of an increase of people who might normally be out or doing stuff at home.
I was just kind of curious what they complain about for noise. Like, is it fireworks or I don't.
We did have an increase of fireworks.
Yeah, Commissioner Bob, in July, just before fireworks, we were wondering how it was going to turn out because of COVID. It was going to be a higher use of fireworks or a lower use of fireworks. And we had a lot of complaints come in that were unfounded. They were over the Bridgeport line, some pretty significant aerial fireworks that turned out were just over the line in Bridgeport. The whole blue side, Tungsten Hill Park, Linwood, Lynbrook, all that area was calling in noise complaints every night, and they were coming in from Bridgeport. We were referring them to Bridgeport, and nothing we could do about them, but they were still logged as a noise complaint in Fairfield.
I just found it in January, but then I thought maybe it was New Year's. People shooting off fireworks. Maybe that had a lot to do with it, especially with the COVID. And
Yeah, it looks like in January we had an increase of 5. It went from 1 in 2020 to 6 in 2021.
yeah, I'm just curious. That's all.
Hey, are there any other comments on the monthly?
Yep. Jamie?
Yeah.
Chief, one question that just out of curiosity. I noticed that in the category of information, last year in January, we had 46 calls. This year we had 715. Have we become the new information center for the town, or what's?
That's where we're putting COVID information into. So as we get reports of an address from the health department, it's loaded into under information for CAD, for information, so it comes up in CAD.
We have to categorize it some way. So we had to put it under information as a categorical group.
I kind of assumed that's where it was coming from, but it was just the numbers are so dramatically different. Thank you.
All right. Are there any other comments on the monthly report? All right. Hearing none, our next meeting is scheduled for March 10th at 4:30. Are there any conflicts with anybody for that date?
Nope.
All right. Hearing none, then is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Normally people jump at that one. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'd be glad to second.
Second by Commissioner Lebo. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right. We stand in adjournment.